Okay, so we've got one last speaker for you, and she's only going to be speaking for 5 minutes. She's a really beautiful lady called Kate Matthews, and she's the other lady who met Melanie at this event last year. And I think Anthony's going to collect her. So she's representing absolutely, but you don't look disabled, because she looks absolutely gorgeous. You wouldn't think there was anything wrong with her at all. And it's a big deal, because none of these have spoken at events and things before, so hello.
I've written here, speak slowly, so if I don't, someone tell me. So hello, my name is Kate, and I am disabled. This is my first time making a speech, so I'd really appreciate it if you bear with me, because I'm extremely nervous. I'm currently 34 years old, but my journey with illness began when I was just 14. Back then, my teachers and my college lecturers just thought I was lazy. They saw my low attendance and chronic fatigue, but instead of compassion, I was met with a lot of skepticism. They dismissed me as anxious or dramatic. This lack of understanding planted seeds of self-doubt, causing me to ignore my symptoms for far too long. Now, 20 years later, I have a diagnosis, several actually. But it took 20 years of being misunderstood, judged and disbelieved to get here today. Countless times I've been accused of exaggerating because my illnesses are so invisible. That's why we're here tonight, to raise awareness and to ensure that others don't have to endure the same struggle as I did. In August 2018, I received my first official diagnosis, which was POTS, which stands for Postural Orthostatic Tachycardia Syndrome. My world turned upside down. At the time, I was thriving in a job that I absolutely loved. I was doing ballet, which I did for 15 years. I was practicing Pilates, and I was doing Zumba, and I was doing all of this weekly. The words chronic illness were such a devastating blow. I couldn't accept that this was now my forever. By now, I had hoped to have been advancing and excelling in my career, still be dancing, and most importantly, I had hoped to become a mother. But chronic illness doesn't really care about your dreams. I had to give up my career, largely because I couldn't really tolerate my commute anymore. I travelled from Brough to Leeds every day. The train rides were grueling, especially with so few seats available on the peak time trains. I often had to ask somebody to give up their seat, but often I was met with disbelief and refusal because I just didn't look sick. In 2019, after 6 weeks of being unable to eat, I was rushed to Hull Royal Infirmary by ambulance. They told me I was fine. It was all in my head. And they sent me home in the middle of the night, even though I'd lost at that point nearly 3 stone in weight. 7 hours later, I was admitted to St. James's Hospital in Leeds. I was told if I'd waited any longer, I would have been in a coma and potentially lost my life. I spent 2 months there, unable to walk, eat, or drink. I was fed through a tube and received all my fluids via drips. By the time I left that hospital, I had more diagnoses, more medication, more medical equipment, and even more grief. So, to explain everything, what disabilities is it that I'm hiding? I have a genetic condition called hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. To explain this, my collagen is too elastic. My ligaments and my muscles can't really hold my bones in place. My shoulders and my hips dislocate multiple times a day. I even dislocate things in my sleep. My spine is unstable, and the bones in my neck slip out of position, which means that I have compression on the brainstem. Therefore, none of my organs function as they should. I also have POTS. If I stand too long, the blood pools in the lower half of my body, forcing my heart to work much harder. It beats so fast that I frequently lose consciousness, which is why I'm sat down. Then there's mast cell activation syndrome. also known as MCAS. Everybody has mast cells, but mine are too overactive. This means I can go into anaphylaxis from new medications, cosmetics, household chemicals, and even extreme temperatures can also send me into shock. I now have a total of 12 consultants across the UK, each specialising in different areas, from cardiology to gastroenterology, rheumatology, neurology, urogynecology, lots of ologies. But these rare and enlightened doctors, they work really hard to keep me stable, but often I am bedbound, needing help just to get from my bed to the bathroom. I've had more emergency rides in ambulances than I can count, with the most recent just being 3 weeks ago. But because my conditions don't show on the outside, I face a daily battle for belief and for empathy. When I first received my blue badge, it took me 6 months to use it. The first time I parked in a disabled spot, I was shouted at and told that these spots are for people who really need them. I've been challenged for using disabled toilets when I either couldn't stand long enough in a queue or needed privacy to use medical devices. All of this is down to the fear of hearing, but you just don't look disabled, and therefore that made me hesitate to do what was best for my health. But despite all the pain and the hurdles that this journey has brought me, it's brought me something beautiful, the most sincere friendships I have ever known, many of which I actually found through this charity, so thank you, Natalie. And these bonds that we've created are just everlasting. Every day, honestly, is really a fight, and it's a fight against my conditions and all the symptoms that they bring. I really do miss the Kate that I used to be, and contrary to what people might think, it just doesn't get easier over time. In fact, it's actually quite the opposite. But I'm really thankful for the Hidden Disabilities charity. Since attending their ball last year and being introduced to them, I found purpose and a community where I feel seen, understood and accepted. So I really appreciate the privilege to talk tonight. Charities like Hidden Disabilities are so vital. We really need their support, and the public and the medical professionals really need to understand that hidden disabilities are very real. Thank you so much for listening.